Please subscribe and watch my best stories there. At 35,000 feet above the earth, the airplane cabin seemed wrapped in a hush of serenity. The steady hum of the engines was almost hypnotic, and passengers nestled into their own little worlds, some lost in novels, others drifting with music in their ears, and many tucked beneath the comfort of thin airline blankets. It was the kind of ordinary calm that travelers take for granted. But that fragile peace shattered in a heartbeat. Evelyn Moretti, elegant and poised, the wife of one of the world's most powerful billionaires, suddenly leaned forward in her seat. Her diamond necklace caught the dim cabin light as her chin sank toward her chest. Gasps spread like ripples through the cabin as her eyes fluttered shut and her body went frighteningly still. A businessman 2 rows away was the first to cry out. Flight attendants froze for half a second before rushing forward. The stillness in the air was instantly replaced by panic, murmurs, shouts, and the kind of heavy silence that comes when no one knows what to do. Adrian Moretti, Evelyn's husband, was just behind her. Known across the world as a ruthless corporate giant, cold, calculating, untouchable, he now looked like nothing more than a broken man. His hands clutched his head, his voice cracked with fear as he shouted for a doctor. The composure that made him a billionaire crumbled into desperation. Flight attendants scanned the cabin. "Is there a doctor on board?" one called, her voice trembling more than she wished it would. But no hands went up. Passengers shrank back, whispering, as if afraid of being drawn into the crisis. Seconds ticked by like hours. And then, from the back of the cabin, someone rose. He wasn't a doctor, nor a businessman, nor anyone of note. His uniform wasn't polished or prestigious. It was a simple blue janitor's outfit, the kind that often goes unnoticed. His name was Marcus Hale, just 17 years old. Marcus had not even been supposed to be on this flight. Hours earlier, he'd been mopping the very same aisles as part of his shift cleaning planes at the airport. A scheduling mistake, coupled with the kindness of a supervisor, had placed him here as a standby passenger. His ticket was a small miracle, a chance to go home and visit his mother, who was sick in a small rural town. He had no influence, no status, no medical degree. Yet when Evelyn's body faltered, Marcus could not stay in his seat. He pushed past rows of startled passengers, his heart thundering in his ears. Some people scoffed, others muttered, "What could a boy like him do?" But Marcus had spent years caring for his mother, who lived with a fragile heart condition. He had sat by her side countless nights, watching paramedics work, memorizing their steps, and practicing what he learned in community CPR classes. He was not a professional, but he carried something equally powerful: instinct, courage, and an unwillingness to let a life slip away before his eyes. Marcus knelt at Evelyn's side. Her breaths were shallow, her face pale. Adrian's eyes, wet, frantic, locked onto Marcus's, silently begging him to act. The flight attendants stepped back, torn between protocol and the raw certainty in the boy's expression. Without hesitation, Marcus interlaced his hands and pressed them firmly against Evelyn's chest. 1, 2, 3, steady compressions, each one a prayer, each one a plea. His arms ached, sweat gathered at his brow, but he focused only on rhythm, on persistence, on hope. The cabin grew eerily quiet. Passengers stopped whispering and simply watched. Some folded their hands in prayer, others held back tears, while Adrian trembled, powerless, behind his wife. Minutes dragged on like an eternity. Some whispered it was hopeless. Others dared not watch. But Marcus didn't stop. His youth, his determination, burned brighter than doubt. And then, it happened. A fragile gasp escaped Evelyn's lips. Her chest rose faintly, her eyes flickered with the faintest spark of life. The entire cabin gasped in unison, and then, like a dam breaking, relief and applause erupted. Flight attendants hurried to supply oxygen masks, gently stabilizing her as she clung weakly to breath. Adrian Moretti, the billionaire titan who had built empires, collapsed into tears. He gripped his wife's trembling hand as if it were the only thing in the world that mattered. Across from them, Marcus slumped back against the aisle wall, his chest heaving, tears stinging his eyes, not from exhaustion alone, but from the overwhelming reality of what had just unfolded. Yet what struck everyone most wasn't simply that Evelyn survived. It was who had saved her. Not a doctor. Not a fellow titan of industry. Not someone with power, prestige, or wealth. But a boy. A janitor's son. A teenager in a plain uniform who most passengers hadn't noticed until now. In that moment, all illusions of class, status, and wealth dissolved. The truth stood bare. Compassion is the great equalizer, and sometimes the strongest hands are the ones least expected. The plane prepared for an emergency landing. Adrian, once feared in boardrooms, now sat quietly beside Marcus. The billionaire who once thought money solved everything now understood there were things it could never buy. He placed a trembling hand on Marcus's shoulder. No words were spoken, but the gratitude in his eyes said more than language ever could. Marcus thought of his mother then, of her voice telling him he was stronger than he believed, of the long nights when he had practiced compressions by her hospital bed. And for the first time, he felt her words were true. When the plane touched down, paramedics rushed Evelyn to the hospital. She stabilized further under professional care, but news of the flight spread faster than anyone expected. Headlines lit up screens. Teenage janitor saves billionaire's wife at 35,000 feet. Cameras and reporters swarmed Marcus, eager for interviews. Yet he remained humble, quiet, uncomfortable with the word hero. He insisted he had only done what any decent person would have done, what his heart demanded. But Adrian never forgot. The man who had built skyscrapers and ruled boardrooms began visiting Marcus and his mother. He offered not only financial assistance but genuine friendship. For once, it wasn't about business or deals. It was about gratitude and human connection. Evelyn, recovering but still frail, held Marcus's hand during a press conference and called him her guardian angel in disguise. The story of Marcus Hale grew beyond headlines. It became a living parable, a reminder of humanity's quiet strength. Proof that heroes don't always wear polished uniforms or titles. Sometimes, they wear the overlooked clothes of everyday life. On that flight, at that altitude, in that impossible moment, an ordinary boy rose to do something extraordinary. In saving one life, he restored more than breath. He revived hope, faith, and the belief that kindness has no boundaries. So, if this story touched your heart, take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more stories that celebrate compassion and second chances. And before we close, let me ask you this: do you believe heroes are born, or are they made in the moments that matter most? Because sometimes, it takes a crisis at 35,000 feet to show us that true heroes have been among us all along, quiet, unseen, simply waiting for the moment to rise.